Hi, I'm Abby Malone, and I am this year's June Dairy Month Chairman for Smith County. And today, I'm going to be showing you how to make butter. The first thing you're going to need to know is what you need. You're going to need a big bowl, some containers if you don't have molds, some sort of spatula, salt, a churn, or you can use a jar to shake it in, and your cream. Now, I personally got my cream from an Amish dairy farmer, but you can get yours at your local stores. Now, the second thing you're going to need to do is take your cream and pour it into your jar. Once you've put your cream into your churns or your jar, just put the lid on and make sure it's screwed down pretty tightly. That way you don't get any leakage of the butter. Once you've got your lids screwed on tightly, if you have an electric churn, you're just going to want to plug it into the wall. But if you're not, and you have a jar, you're just going to want to begin shaking, and this might take a while depending on how hard and how fast you shake it. So you might want to sit down and watch an episode or two of your favorite TV show while you're at it. One of your last steps is going to be knowing when your butter is ready. Now, if you're shaking it in a jar, you're going to know it's ready when it starts to separate from the sides and you have milk left over in the bottom and a clump of butter. This will be the same thing but on a larger scale for an electric churn. Depending on how much cream you put in, it may take longer a period of time. The last thing you're going to do when your butter is done is you're going to take a spoon and separate the clump of butter from the milk. Now, if you have a small jar, you're just going to take the spoon and slide the butter right out from the milk and place it into a bowl where you can begin to clean and wash out the butter. And then put your salt and put it into a mold. The last thing you're going to do is to wash your butter. Now, you're going to want to use the back of a wooden spoon and just gently move the butter away from the milk and pour it out. You're going to want to add a little bit of water to continue to wash the milk away from the butter. And just continue not to mix in the water, but to slosh it around a little bit to make sure you get all the milk off of the butter. Now that you've got your butter all washed, you're going to want to add a little bit of salt to help preserve your butter and make it last longer, and just to add a little bit of flavor. For as much butter as I have in my bowl, I'm just going to be using a half a teaspoon. But if you like yours a little bit of salty, you can put as much salt into your butter as you want. Now that you've poured in your salt, you're just going to want to gently mash this into the butter and fold it to get an even distribution of the salt throughout your butter. Now that you've got your salt distributed throughout your butter, you're just going to want to take it and put it in a container so you can have a nice mold or container storage for your butter. Just gently mash in your butter into your container. And there you have it. You have your own homemade fresh butter. Now that you've got your butter washed and salted, it's time to put it in the molds. Now, there are different kinds of molds. You've got plastic stick molds, glass molds, and wooden molds. But with wooden molds, you're going to want to soak them to get them wet to make the process of taking the butter out after it's frozen and hard. It'll make it easier to take it out of the molds. Now, I'm going to be using this glass mold today, and you just want to take some of your butter out of your bowl, put it in, and make sure to push it down around the sides to prevent air bubbles from getting into your butter. Now that we have our molds full, you're going to want to take some cling wrap and put it right over the top, just like this. So that way when you put it in the freezer to chill overnight and harden, it will stay in your mold and nothing can get in it or on top of it. Our butter has now hardened and this is our finished product.